Is the ladies in Curry were stars. I mean, let's face it. We only had four channels, and they were stars. And by God, they let you know you were stars. And they shall remain nameless, so they shall. But it was quite a shock to the system. All these people pouncing about in fancy dress and all this sort of carry on. I mean, they were all lovely, but and then of course the fame bit comes in, and every skeleton I had in the cupboards, of which there were very many, they all appeared and came jumping out to smack me in the teeth. And of course, the fame was brilliant because I'm a horse racing man, and I was being invited to the horse races, and I was partying all night. I mean, there was 4 years of me doing curry. I don't remember a damn thing about it. But contrary to what anybody might say, I was never late, and I never let anybody down.
Contrary to what anybody might say, I was never late.
Just partied and worked my ass off. So it was work hard and play hard, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And contrary to what some people have written, I never battled anything. I never battled any booze or anything else. I was just having a brilliant time. And I went on really for 11 years with the lovely Beverly, and she was very patient, bless her, and because we worked very different ways. And then Bev left, and I decided that I felt that, well, the writers were getting bored with the character and I was getting bored with the writing. So we all shook hands, and I've been back 9 times since. So it's all worked terribly well.
So now it is time for Outside. Now,
Now, classic British holiday resort haven. Charlie, does this just prove that these businesses need to stop giving in to woke madness?
Completely. And the sad thing is that they didn't. There will be the great people of the Haven Village holiday. Somebody will have made a phone call to some bloody idiot in an office service. Is there anything we can do to appease these snowflake young people? Because they're in terrible states when they visit here, when they see Anxious Elephant. They're in a terrible state. They're suicidal. Bullshit. There's somebody getting paid to come up with this bloody nonsense. Stanley the Bear. Let's call him Jazz, because even though there's a male or a female inside playing Stanley the Bear or playing now Jazz, no, sorry. I got the pronouns. I didn't mention pronouns there. Whichever pronoun goes well with Stanley the Bear. For female inside playing Stanley the Bear. No, playing the pronouns as mentioned pronouns. I got the pronouns. I got the pronouns as. No, sorry. I got the pronouns there. No, playing now. Pronouns as mentioned. Sorry. No, jazz. I didn't mention goes well there. The pronouns, Christ's sake, wise up, people. Anxious Elephant, Stanley the Bear. Anxious Elephant, Stanley the Bear. Noun, sorry, no, pronouns, I didn't mention pronouns. No, pronouns. Inside pronouns or Gary Einstein is going to be anxious doing our bloody children. And in the name of Jesus,
I spoke to Dan, as you know, doing our. I spoke to is going to be anxious. Pronouns. I didn't mention pronouns. Now jazz or playing. Now jazz or playing. Now jazz. Playing.
Okay. That's Charlie Lawson there. Back to you in the studio. Back to you in the studio, Dan. That's back to you in the studio there, Dan. We won't have him on again. I don't think we'll have him on again. I'll just back to you in this. Dan Wootton and Charlie Lawson reporting on what was it again?
No jazz. I got the pronouns that got to put over where pronoun goes well with
Stanley the Bear. For Christ's sake, wise up, people. Anxious elephant. They're going to change that to bloody Belinda or Gary or something because they're scared that a child is going to be anxious because it sees a wee name badge. I'm anxious the elephant. What are we doing to our bloody children in the name of Jesus? I spoke to Dan, as you know me. I always like seek a second opinion. And I happened to be speaking to an actor in Toronto, and he said, you know what, we thought we were having a bad time with Trudeau, but you people are drowning in your own shite, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but that's what people are hearing this in Canada, thinking, what in the name of Jesus are you
What's happening to the UK? Exactly. But look, Charlie, it wasn't total victory, though, for the woke mob this week.
There's a pub in Cheshire. Evidently, the vote exactly. But look, Charlie, it wasn't total victory, though, for the woke mob this week, because there was a pub in Cheshire advertising for a new chef, and they declared, I love this, Charlie, they declared snowflakes need no supplies. It was the Queen Anne.
And they put that black board outside that said, Chef wanted, please ask inside for details. No snowflakes, please. Now,
Chef wanted, no snowflakes, please. So it's Luke or no Luke, I don't know. Maybe Luke could have got that job, but no snowflakes. So is that discriminatory? Because I don't know if you can put that on your job advertisement board, can you? Is that... Anyway.
Apologetic landlord said he had to make the requirement because a series of kitchen workers had actually left the business because they were moaning about workload and schedules. And actually, Charlie, I thought that...
Moaning about workload and schedules. Yeah, fuck those people who want like a proper fair work for fair pay. Let's reduce the minimum wage. What are you doing wanting a holiday pay? Workload and schedules. Get rid of them. Snowflakes.
That sign was great because it would weed out the candidates who you didn't actually want for the job.
It's absolutely brilliant. But you know what will happen, Daniel, my friend?
What?
The woke brigade will suddenly quote the signs that were in bed and breakfast in London town in the 1960s. And I don't have to repeat what they said, but there were certain people who were not made welcome, dogs included. And somebody will get offended by the fact that this guy has put snowflakes. It'll become racist or it'll become something. But I'll tell
The signs that he was talking about was no blacks, no dogs, no Irish, and they were racist.
you what, if I'm passing out boozer, I'll be in for a pint.
Yeah, that's because it's a boozer, not because the sign about the you'll be. That's a guarantee for every boozer, isn't it? Dan knows.
Pass racist or it'll become I'll be in for a pint. Tell you what,
Yes.
racist boozer, come this guy. But I'll tell you what, it'll become racist boozer. I'll be in for a pint. Flakes. If I'm passing out or it'll become something. A pint. Snowflakes. If I'm passing out boozer, it'll become something. Just put snowflakes. It'll become racist.
Because who wants your food cooked by a snowflake, right? It's absolutely. Because who wants your food cooked by
Flakes. It'll become racist or
Who wants your food cooked by a racist?
it'll become something. But I'll tell you what, if I'm passing out boozer, I'll be in for a pint.
a snowflake, right?
I don't want to be eating insects for a start when I go.
What?
For a start.
Afters.
I don't want to be eating insects for a start when I go for a pint. Let me tell you. No, it's Dan. Look, we've said this, and I've said it to all your colleagues. We hopefully this will all blow over in a year or two, like all the regulations we had with COVID, and we'll learn to laugh at ourselves or those people who went along with all this crap. So, as I say, well done to the landlord there. And if anybody is offended, please phone me up and tell me why you're a snowflake, because I'd love to know. Snowflake, and tell the landlord there. Phone me up and anybody is offended. Please phone me up and anybody is offended. Please phone me up.
What?
Super chuffer, super chuffer, super chuffer, super chuffer, super chuffer, super chuffer, super chuffer.
There's too many fucking idiots.
Look at Dan Wootton's face here as well. Look at Dan Wootton's face. Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton going after the snowflakes. Dan Wootton and Charlie Lawson and Luke. All big friends. Big up Eamon Holmes. Big up Eamon Holmes. Big up Eamon Holmes. Get him on the news. Get Charlie on the news. He's great. He's good at being on the news. He's good at being on the news. Get him on again. Get him on. He's great.
As we know, patience wearing thin.
for the eco-terrorists at Just Stop Oil. It was beautifully demonstrated by this motorcyclist in London earlier today. This bloke so long to realise that, but when your founder is turning on you, surely you know that's when you've lost.
They need to give up.
Well, they are complete pain in the arses. I only wish they'd turn up in my village, I'll tell you that. But, I mean, they intensely annoy me, so they do, because we've seen them interviewed, and thank God the general public are getting out of their cars and giving them what for and telling them to do you-know-what and go home. Because what? Home. Because what? Do you know? Home, cause what? I what? Home, cause the only people who support know what for. Tell them they're good. Thank them interviewed. Seen them interviewed. Seen them interviewed. No, cause they made it with the snake.
Thanks very much. That's Charlie Lawson. Back to you in the studio with Dan Wootton. Back to you in the studio, Dan.
Because made it so they are they know are they are they are.
Thanks very much, Charlie. We'll head back to you in the studio there. Dan Wootton.
They are what they are they intensely annoy me, so they do, because we've seen them interviewed, because we've thank God the interviewed public are getting out of their cars. God, the general public, and telling them to cars. Do you know what for? And telling them, do you know the telling them to cars and
good one, Charlie.
Giving them what for and telling them to do you know what and go home, because I can't see. I think the only people who support them are the people who participate in it. Do you know what and go home. Interestingly enough, I saw a police officer. Can't see. I think the only people who support them, big strapping police officers, friggin' nonsense. I had that the other day, and I thought I can't see. I think the only people who support them are the people who participate in it. It's not as if these people are doing a hit and run. They're walking along at 1 mile an hour. See, I think the only people who and giving them what for and tell me so they do, because we've seen it. And interestingly enough, I saw a police. They people are intensely annoy me participate in this friggin' nonsense, doing a hit and run. They're walking because I can't see. I think the only elbow as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, we're fighting back. We're fighting back. And I just want to say what I always say to the Just Stop Oil goons: if you're standing in the middle of a road, don't be surprised when you nearly get hit by a vehicle.
one day you're going to cause a tragedy.
There's already been someone who's been murdered by someone driving a truck. It was put down as manslaughter at a protest. That was in the 90s. So you want to do your research there, Mr. Great Britain News?
Stop now.
Yeah. Let's just hope, Dan, that you know, and I would be an advocate of the public taking action, but what we don't need to happen is some guy getting very pissed off and getting out and clamping one of them.
But it's going to happen.
We don't need that to happen.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen because they are ruining lives. They are stopping people getting to school. They're stopping people getting to their hospital appointments. They actually make me physically sick.
They make me physically sick.
Actually,
Dan
people
Wootton.
getting to their...
Dan Wootton, they make me physically sick. They actually make me physically sick.
hospital appointments, they actually make me physically sick.
They actually make me physically sick. Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton.
It's very seldom you will find me agreeing with a cardinal, but I have to say he gets my vote. I mean, in the name of Jesus, this does actually piss everybody off because Jesus a good vote. I mean, name of Jesus, what Wensless this because he gets in the name of this does he gets my when what Judith. I
mean, listen, Regard Asian Police needs to do this, and it needs to go like right. It needs to. I don't know if they're going to be watching this now, but it needs to go. This stuff, yeah, followed by cut back to her asking a normal question, and then when it cuts to him, he does all that weird shit, and then it just cuts back to her.
For God's sake!
Where do we stop?
On the feast of Judith. This all. I mean. Feast of what is about the feast when everybody's like, what is this all about for? We're in this
and
as long as this tongues are taken or go to church. Every night listening to witty
Valence Van Tam and hand job or whatever. You know what I mean? It's all this bloody crap, and we gradually allow ourselves to be lectured, and we're quite comfortable with people telling us what to do. And if we keep going on like this will continue. I mean, we all know the ins and outs and the pros and cons of the NHS. We don't need to debate that anymore. I think that's blatantly obvious to anyone. And if you want to try and cover your arse by saying don't fall over because we won't be able to help you, that's a pretty pathetic excuse in my book. I don't want anyone to fall over. And you know, I've been around many blocks, and I know what too much alcohol and too much anything else can do for you.
We don't want that at all, but don't be lecturing us what we're gonna do on Christmas Day.
Don't be lecturing us what we're going to do on Christmas Day. Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton.
I wanted to say, Dan, just apropos of what we talked about 5 minutes ago, I forgot to mention students need to take a lesson from the fabulous young women currently in Iran who are putting their lives at risk, trying to establish their their education, and the way they want to live their lives. Those students, they're younger than some of them. Are late teens. They are courageous young women, and I only wish our bloody students would look at these people and take a leaf out of their book, because that's courage.
Okay. Back to you in the studio, Dan Wootton.